Welcome, my friend. The practice I'm sharing with you today is focused on hamstring stretches for flexibility. Tending to our hamstrings means we're also nurturing our low back, hip flexibility, and potential knee pain stemming from tight hamstrings. To allow us to get the most out of the targeted hamstring stretches as we flow, let's take a moment to understand the location of our hamstring muscles anatomically. Our hamstrings are located on the back of our thighs, composed of 4 large sets of muscles. Have 2 yoga blocks handy at the front of your mat and a yoga strap or belt at the back of your mat, and I'll meet you standing on the mat. Let's begin our practice together, standing in mountain pose at the front of your mat. Bring your feet so they're hip-width apart, your palms at your side open to the space in front of you. Softly close your eyes. Take a moment to feel grounded in all 4 corners of your feet as you stand nice and tall here. Breathe in and breathe out. As we flow today, there will be a common theme in each posture. Keep a slight bend in your knees. Let's draw your attention to the area of your hamstrings. And as we stand tall here in our mountain pose, take a slight bend in both your knees, noticing any subtle sensations in your hamstrings. When we don't have that slight bend in our knees and we keep our legs straight and knees locked, this contracts our hamstrings, which can work against our joint and our hamstring health, preventing progress in stretching our hamstrings. Deep breath in through your nose and exhale out. We're going to move into a forward fold next. But before we do that, let's ensure we fold properly at the hips rather than low back. So place your right fingers near your hip crease. And just to ensure correct location, go ahead and draw your knee up and move it around to ensure that it is in the hip crease there. And then go ahead and do the same on the other side with your left leg. And then keep both your fingers at your hip crease. Once you're ready, feet hip-width distance apart and parallel, take a bend in both your knees and begin to fold forward at your hip creases while keeping your back straight, keeping your knees bent the entire time as you fold. Fold forward as far as your body allows and stop once you can no longer fold from your hips. Stay connected with your hamstrings, noticing the sensations. Gently play around with straightening your legs by using your quadriceps, the front of your thighs, rather than your hamstrings. And you can do this by pressing down through your heels as you straighten. Release your fingertips to the mat and take a generous bend in your knees so your torso lies over your thighs. And then we'll super slowly roll up with the intent of stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Letting your upper body, your arms, your head weigh completely heavy as you slowly rise up. Once you're standing tall, bring your fingers to your hip creases once more as a subtle reminder. Go ahead and step your right leg back to high lunge and then lower your back knee to the mat for our low lunge pose. Grab your yoga blocks, framing your front foot on medium or the highest setting, and allow your hips to melt towards the mat, sinking into the pose. Hug your inner thighs together, and gently take your shoulder heads back, opening across your chest. begin to shift your hips back in space, coming into half split pose. Square your hips up over your knee. Your front foot is flexed. Breathe in, lengthen in your spine. And as you exhale, fold forward at your hip crease over your front leg. Reach your chest forward. Draw your right hip forward as you draw your left hip back to help square them up. As you hold and breathe, if you haven't already, take a slight bend in your front knee and notice if the stretch feels deeper on your hamstrings. And play around with the stretch and find what focuses and opens your hamstrings the best. Let's slowly bend into your front knee, lowering into your low lunge. Hips melt, your heart shines. And then slide your hips back, coming into half split pose. Breathe in, finding length, and exhale, hinging forward at your hips. Breathe in, slowly bending into your front knee to our low lunge. And exhale, melts into the pose. Lengthen your tailbone down. Now let's shift back into half split pose. Your foot flexed, toes reaching back towards your body. And then shift forward, sinking into low lunge. Once more, slide those hips back, coming into half split. Letting your chest reach you forward for a long spine. And then move into low lunge. Set your blocks off to the side. Press up into runner's lunge and back to down dog. And take a generous bend in both your knees, with your sternum reaching towards the mat. And then slowly start to walk your dog out, letting one heel yearn to the mats and then the other. Not straightening your leg to full extension, but always keeping a slight bend in your knee, letting that heel yearn to the mat. Nice and slow, tuning into your hamstrings to help focus the opening. Let's start to get our hips into it too, and let them slowly sway with the movement side to side. And as you gradually walk your feet so they're as wide as the mat. Slight bend in your knees, and press your chest towards the mat, your armpits yearning towards the mat. Play around and see how it feels to straighten your legs. Now start to take your hips, only your hips, side to side here. As far over to one side before you move to the other. Walk your feet back to hip width apart. Take a generous bend in your knees, your torso melting through center. And super slowly start to draw your heels towards the mat. Beautiful. Glance forward and step your right leg between your hands. Lower your back knee to the mat. Grab your yoga blocks, framing your foot, have it on medium or the highest setting, and really allow your hips to melt towards the mat, sinking deep into the pose. Actively hug your inner thighs together, and gently draw your shoulder heads back, broadening across your collarbone. Let's begin to shift our hips back, coming into our half split pose. Squaring up your hips, drawing your left hip forward and your right back to help square them up. And your front foot is flexed. Breathe in, finding a nice long spine. And as you exhale, we'll hinge forward at your hips, letting your heart guide you forward. If you haven't already, go ahead and take that slight bend in your front knee, noticing how the stretch feels, if it deepens your hamstrings with the slight bend. Breathing in and out your nose. And slowly bend into your front knee, lowering into your low lunge. Your hips melt and your heart shines. Let's slide your hips back, coming into half pose. Breathing in, finding length, and exhale, hinging at your hips. Breathe in, slowly bending into your front knee, into our low lunge, and exhale, melts into the pose. Lengthen tailbone down. And let's shift back into half split pose. That front foot is flexed, your toes reaching back towards your body. And then let's shift forward, sinking into low lunge. And then one more time, we'll shift back, our hips coming into our half split pose, letting your chest reach you forward. And then move into your low lunge, and we'll set your blocks off to the side. Press up into a runner's lunge, then step forward to your forward fold. Your feet hip-width apart, taking a slight bend in your knees. Bring your fingers to your hip creases to ensure you're folding from your hips. Press your heels into the mat as you lift your sits bones towards the sky. Engage your quads, drawing them up to the sky. The more engaged your quads, the more your hamstrings will release. And then on your inhale, let's rise up. Take a deep cleansing breath in at the top and exhale slowly. Breathe in, circle your arms up to the sky, your palms kiss the top, and lower prayer to heart. Breathe in, reach your fingertips up to the sky, palms kiss, and take it into a mini back bend before you dive it down through center, nice and slow, focusing in on folding at your hips. Slight bend in your knees as you fold, fingertips release to the mat. Breathe in, lift to flat back. Then exhale, melt chest towards your thighs. And with control, your right foot steps back, coming into our runner's lunge. Once you're there, go ahead and grab your yoga blocks to frame your front foot. Glance down to ensure your knee is stacked over your ankle. Your back heel yearning towards the mat. Lower abs hug up and in. Your front ribs knit together, shoulder heads draw back. And let's transition your yoga blocks to the highest setting. Begin to straighten your front leg. Breathe in, lengthen your torso, and exhale with a long spine, hinge over your front leg. As you breathe and hold this posture, tune into your hamstrings and notice how it feels with your front leg straight compared to a slight bend in the knee. How does a slight bend affect your hamstring? How low are you able to hinge forward? How does it affect the other parts of your body, like your low back? And slowly begin to bend into your front knee, returning to your runner's lunge. Adjust your yoga block as needed, hips melting into the pose, your heart radiating. And then slowly press up, straightening your front leg. Blocks move to the highest setting. Breathing in, finding length in the front of your torso. And exhale, hinging forward. Go ahead and take this gentle flow back and forth 3 to 4 more times, moving at your own pace, having fun with the hamstring yoga dance flow. The next time you come to runner's lunge, set your blocks off to the side. And lower your back heel to the mat, setting up for warrior two pose. Glance down to align your front heel to bisect the back arch of your foot, and then fan your arms up to warrior two. Nice and wide stance here, so much your front thigh becomes parallel with the mat. Breathe in and exhale out. Grab one yoga block with your front arm and then straighten your front leg, moving into triangle pose. So extend your arms side to side, and on the exhale, shift your hip back in space as you reach your fingertips forward as far as you can before lowering the block to the mat. Your back arm opens and reaches up to the sky. Shoulders stack one on top of the other. One line from fingertip to fingertip. Gently lift your gaze and spiral your chest towards the sky, keeping length along the sides of your torso. Let's press down through your toes and heels while pulling up through your arches. Slowly bend into your front knee and then turn your toes to the side of the mat. Place both of your blocks to the back of the mat. Once you're ready, bring your toes to point out and your heels in. Fingers to your hip creases and bend into both your knees and fold down, lowering your torso through center. Fingertips lower to the mat, and then take a gentle sway to the right and to the left, bending into one knee and then the other, just finding what feels good here. And settle back into center, letting the crown of your head reach towards the mat, keeping that slight bend in your knees. And bring your fingers to your hip creases and take a generous bend in both your knees as we super slowly start to roll up. Bring your back toes to open to the back of the mat and fan your arms to frame your front foot, coming into our runner's lunge pose on the other side. And once you're there, go ahead and grab your yoga blocks to frame your foot. Glance down to stack your knee over your ankle, and then your back heel really presses and yearns towards the mat. Feel your abs hug up and in, your front ribs knit together, and your shoulder heads draw back. Now let's transition your yoga blocks to the highest setting as you start to straighten your front leg. Let's breathe in, finding length in your spine. And exhale with your long spine and hinge forward at your hips over your front leg. As you breathe and hold this posture, go ahead and tune into your hamstrings. Notice how they're feeling in your front leg, with them straight compared to that slight bend in the knee. And slowly begin to bend into your front knee, returning to our runner's lunge, adjusting the yoga blocks. Hips melting into the pose, your heart shining. And then we'll slowly press up, straightening your front leg, blocks move to the highest setting. And now we'll take this gentle flow 3 to 4 more times at your own pace, moving back and forth, having fun with it, finding what feels good. The next time you come to your runner's lunge, set your blocks off to the side and lower your back heel to the mat, coming into our warrior two pose next. Go ahead and glance down to make sure that your front heel bisects your back arch, and then we'll fan your arms up, coming into our warrior two pose. Allow those hips to melt into the pose. As they melt, your stance may need to widen to keep your front knee over your ankle and not going past it. Breathe deeply into this amazing pose for your body. And go ahead and grab one yoga block with your front arm, and we'll straighten that front leg. And we're coming into that triangle pose again. And on your next exhale, we'll shift your hips back in space as you reach your fingertips forward with the yoga block. And once you can't reach anymore, we're going to lower that yoga block to the mat. And then the back arm opens up and reaches to the sky. Stacking your shoulders one on top of the other, your gaze lifts. Feel your chest spiraling towards the sky, keeping length along your sides of the torso. Let's rise up and set your yoga blocks off to the side. We won't be using them for the rest of the practice today. Go ahead and turn your toes towards the long edge of the mat, and then your front toes point to the front of the mat. Fan your arms to frame your front foot. Step back for our downward dog, then walk your hands back towards your feet. And lower your hips down to the mat. Go and extend both your legs long out in front of you. We're going to come into a seated forward fold. So wrap the yoga strap around the balls of your feet, not the arches of your feet, but up towards the balls of your feet. And then we'll breathe in, find that length in your spine with your shoulder heads drawing back. Gently begin to pull the strap towards you, your feet flexed, pressing into the strap. This might be your first edge, feeling a deep stretch in your hamstrings with a slight bend in those knees. If you haven't met your edge yet, and with a long spine, go ahead and slowly hinge forward at your hip creases until you feel that deep stretch in your hamstrings. Find your own personal edge here. Just hold and breathe, breathing in and out your nose. Adjusting the yoga strap as needed to best support you. Let's release, and then we'll rise up, taking a few twists next. So inhale, circle your arms up, and then exhale, open and twist to the right. Inhale up to center, and exhale, open to the left. Breathe in, lift up to center, and exhale, circle your arms down. Now bring your soles of feet to the mat and grasp along the back of your thighs. On your next exhale, begin to round back in your spine, tucking your chin to your chest, and exhaling all the air out as you draw your navel towards your spine. Breathe in, ripple through your spine, reaching your chest forward, then exhale, round back. And then lower yourself all the way to the mat. Moving into big toe pose with both the soles of your feet to the mat. Take the strap around the ball of your right foot, keeping your right knee bent. And then from here, we'll draw your knee towards your chest, feeling both your hips grounded into the earth. Then let's begin to slowly start to extend your sole of foot to the sky. As you straighten, press through the ball of your big toe, anchoring your hip. I know it can be tempting to fully straighten and lock your knee here, but resist that temptation and keep a slight bend in your knee. Keep your chest open and your neck soft. If it's within your practice, you can extend your opposite leg long. You may feel some trembling or some shaking. I definitely was. You may wish to back off if it is too intense or if it's uncomfortable, but if not, just sit with it and let that prana flow through you. Beautiful. Now slowly start to lower your legs. Release the strap and lower your sole of foot to the mat, and we'll switch it to the other side. Take the strap around the ball of the left foot this time. Remember to keep that knee bent. Draw your knee towards your chest. Check in and feel both your hips are grounded into the earth. And then from here, we'll slowly start to straighten that leg, bringing the sole of foot towards the sky. And as you straighten, press through the ball of the big toe, anchoring that left hip. And remember to keep that knee bent. Feel open in your chest. Lengthen the back of your neck. If you would like to, you can extend your opposite leg long. And slowly start to lower your leg. Release the strap and your sole of foot to the mat. Set your strap off to the side and extend both your legs out long, your feet coming as wide as the mat. Your arms rest at your side, taking up as much space as they'd like. Palms open up to the sky. Get any wiggles and scratches out so you can soften and settle into complete stillness. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Then exhale as you feel every part of your body soften and relax. We'll take these next few moments, our final moments of our practice here, to just breathe and soak up the nutrients of this deep hamstring flexibility practice. Begin to deepen your breath. And wiggle your fingers and your toes, bringing movement back into your body. Slowly roll over to your right side. Take a deep inhalation through your nose and a long, slow exhalation out your nose. And with your eyes closed and your attention remaining inward, go ahead and press yourself up and come to a comfortable seated position. And once you're seated, rest your palms to your knees and sit up nice and tall. Take any feel-good moves here that are calling to you, maybe drawing big circles with your head. Just find what feels good. And then settle into stillness. Just notice how you feel after our hamstring practice today. Breathe in, circle your arms up to the sky, cactus your arms, opening your elbows wide as you slowly lower them down. Let's breathe in once more, gathering love and light as our arms reach to the sky. Your palms kiss, and we lower prayer to heart center, bringing all that love and light down. And raise prayer to your forehead, setting an intention to stay present and mindful of our thoughts of ourselves and thoughts of others. Hands lowered to prayer at your mouth, setting an intention to stay present and mindful as you nourish your body. Hands lowered to prayer at your heart, setting an intention to stay present and mindful of our actions, acting in love and kindness, sending you and all beings love and light. Namaste. Thanks so much for watching. Comment below and let me know how those hammies are feeling after our practice. Throw the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get the latest yoga love released each week.